Oh man, so we got her out. I decided against the time lapses. The camera doesn't like doing time lapses, and it's just more of the same old. I think. I don't know. Maybe some of you guys like to watch it, but it's out. I didn't have any problems at all taking it out. It came out overall pretty easy. So I think what we're gonna do here, we have it on the edge of saying it's tilted back. I need to take the drain plug for the block out, drain the rest of the coolant in the block. Then I can sit it up, and we'll have to pull these pipes off and a bunch of other stuff. But if I stand up right now, it's gonna dump coolant out of those pipes. Don't ask me how I know, because I know. The sway bar holds up the transmission on E39, so there's no problem with that. I think I'm just gonna get some more wire the AC compressor up out of the way, kind of get all this stuff put back. The power steering lines, power steering pump, we'll get all that put up on the cradle, wired up so it don't fall down. Get all our tools out, and this thing's ready to go outside. And what's funny is, look at all the tools to get out. This is all the bolts we had to take out. It really wasn't that big a deal at all. Really wasn't much to it. We have our bolt bins out here. I need to file those in the bolt organizer, but that's for another day. Let's see here. Need to tighten that up. I mean, it's not going to fall off, but anyway, when you tighten that up before you go turn it around, we just put longer bolts in the deal here. So I just fished around, got 4 long bolts, made sure the heads weren't going to go through the stand or nothing. Locked all that down, tightened this down, everything is good to go. So yeah, I think this baby is about ready to go outside. The tires are probably all flat on it again, but I think instead of trying to push it out, we'll just hook the Sequoia to the hook in the back and just adios her out the door. Hopefully this other engine comes in this week. I can't hear when I'm turning the crankshaft pulley over that something is broken. But I'm gonna get this out of here. We'll be back here in a little bit, and we're gonna drain the coolant. We're gonna take this oil pan off, and we're gonna see what's happened in there. Okay, so got the engine out. The car is out of here. All the tools are cleaned up. Our mat's still a mess, but I ripped it, so I don't know. Might be time for a new one. Pretty heavy engine. You can see it sagging a little bit on the engine stand, but I mean, it should be fine. I've had heavier with less on it on the stand. So we're gonna see what happened to this engine. We're gonna know just in a few minutes what the situation is. Probably need to take these manifolds off, get some of the weight off of this engine. I think I might go ahead and do that next and get those off of there, and then we're gonna pull this pan. So pulling the pan only take 5 minutes. Use a little impact with the little universal, and we should be able to get to you. Should be able to get to everything. I just ordered the Victor Ryan's gasket, pan gasket for it. New oil filter housing gasket. I still need to get the rear main at least, not the front, for the new engine. Even if it's not leaking when the new engine comes in, I still want to do it. We're right here. You'd be a fool not to. I think other than that, once we see what's wrong with this, we'll go ahead and remove everything. The alternator, whatever we want to keep, the pulleys. The cylinder head is still good on this. The valve cover is still good, and all that stuff. So let's go ahead and knock it out. Alright, for these side ones here, we're switching to the universal. That'll let us get them right out with this. If you guys don't have these universals, impact universals, and you see them in all my videos, links in the description for these are on Amazon. They're like 20 bucks, and you get a 1/4 inch, a 3/8, and a 1/2 inch, and they are priceless for impacts. It's actually an impact universal. Look at that. Just let you get right in there, no problem. With these things, all this whole engine job, 99% of the bolts are taken out with the impact. Nothing's done with the ratchet. some of the bell housing bolts are ratchet wrench, but I don't think I had to use, the only thing I had to use a ratchet for on this whole build was on the crankshaft, on the crank bolt to turn it over to take the torque converter bolts out. And the torque converter bolts were also taken out with one of these too. So we have all of them out there. Alright. Somewhere around here is a rubber mallet. Bring you guys in. Do we have a light? Yes, we do. Remember, number one, the rod wasn't hooked up anymore. Previous owner didn't have any warning or anything of anything going wrong. The first clue we have is right there. That's not good. Gee. So let's look down in there. There's number 2. You can see how burnt that oil is. 2 looks good. 3 looks good. 4, 5, and 6 look okay. Might take some more apart here to be able to see anything. Okay, so all we done here to get to that, we took the timing tensioner out, we took the nut off the oil pump, just kind of set this guy down there like that. Took these 413s out, and there's 2 10s back over here. Now, there's actually chunks of aluminum stuck in the pickup tube. So let's just pick this up and set this off of here. And that should let us see that. So what in the hell is going on here? So let me back up a little bit. Let me tell you the story if you didn't see the prior videos. Let me get something wipe my damn hand off with. Alright, so this car had a blown head gasket. It was having issues with the new certs we put in it. And I took it back apart to restarted it, put all back together. Everything was great. Went through a compression test. There's no compression on number 1 cylinder, which is this one right here. So after, there was like 0, right? So after a little further inspection, I put a long screwdriver down in there and turned it over by hand. The number 1 piston was not moving. So we just stuck the screwdriver down in there for right now just to see where the piston's at. I cannot touch the piston. Are you ready for this one? I'm going to crank this over. Now watch that screwdriver. As that piston comes up, the screwdriver should come up. That's a whole revolution. It didn't move. That rod's not hooked up anymore. That connecting rod. So at this point, I guess we need to turn it over and see what's happening, because it looks like the connecting rod's still hooked up. But looks can be deceiving. Something's definitely broken, because I can see pieces. So I mean, there's nothing cooked on it. It's like nothing's wrong at all with it. So let's get that 22. This oil is freaking, engine's nasty. Nasty. Look at the workbench, man. Holy cow. 22. We need the deep 22 for, well, probably not. Probably don't have to, but we'll go ahead and use it. That's the right one to use. Clip that on there. You can see it's all burnt around number 1, but the rod itself is not burnt. So it's moving. It looks like there's a piece. Yeah, there's a piece of piston skirt missing on that side. I can't pull it out the bottom. It's got to come out the top. I can see at least the skirt's broken. I guess that's what the piece was laying in the oil pan. But it still doesn't explain why that piston was not moving. Everything else is rotating. I mean, we had the screwdriver in it and everything. It was totally dead. We did it, and all the ones are perfect. Just number 1 would not move, period. It still doesn't guarantee, and this is what I was wondering, if the crankshaft was actually broken. But we turned it, yeah, I don't know, we turned it by hand, but I was thinking maybe it's broken like right there between number 1 and number 2, but it still had enough sometimes catch. It doesn't make any sense at all why that would do that. Okay, well, I guess the next thing we're gonna do, and it won't take that long. We gotta we'll put the pan back on because it stinks, right? We'll put the pan back on, put like a bolt in each corner. We'll flip it back upside down, and we'll pull that cylinder head off, I guess. I'm not really sure what else to do with it. It's got to come off either way, and try to take it all the way out, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. Okay, so we're just trying to get some of this stuff cleaned up. I just took this piston out. Where's my light at? And I don't see anything wrong. I'm not sure what in the hell is going on here. I mean, as I bang on this block, there's chunks of aluminum falling out of it. Something's obviously broken. But, I mean, the bearing's kind of trashed on it, if you could see that or not. That probably doesn't have too far to go before it starts knocking. You see, it's pretty eaten up. But I mean, I've seen worse. You take apart a V8 Chevy, it'll look worse than that, and half the mileage. It's kind of, some cars are just like that. But I don't see any. I mean, it's all black, right? It's all cooked black in the front here, so something's happened. And what you're looking for at this point is an actual break in the crankshaft. You can see as we get back further, I don't know if you can see it on camera or not, it starts getting lighter back here, away from the problem. So if that had a break in it, it had to be like right here at that second bearing cap. It's just very bizarre what's happened with this. In fact, when we were diagnosing this, I could turn over the ratchet, I could take a light look down the spark plug hole in the piston. This was not moving at all. I mean, this is totally disconnected at some point here. So I don't really want to take the whole thing apart, but I think what I'm going to do next, take the bearing caps off these fronts, take a look and try to figure out what happened. It's got to be right here because number 2 piston's right there. So it can't be anywhere else, you know? So I don't know where the big, giant, huge pieces of aluminum came from, but we'll find out. Okay, so before we go any further, let me show you a few things here. Go over in the light. So on these 3.0s, these M54 3.0s, and even the 2.5s, they have a problem with the oil rings. You can see the very bottom ring here. Let me get you the right light. The very bottom one, see the small one? It consists of 2 little tiny rings, and then wherever the gap was, so you can see there's like a spring part in the middle. But you can see all the goo stuck in that bottom ring. It's like a sludge, right? I'll spin it here and you can see it. and that's getting full. So there's the gap. You can see the spring in the middle. What happens here is that gets full of junk and it'll stick in like the spring, like it springs out, right? See, I'm pushing it out. So whenever you have a blown head gasket or an issue like that, everything's trying not to get the camera all nasty, or a CCV or PCV that's clogged up, that'll get all full of junk, right? And the problem is that won't seal. It won't pop back out and seal against the piston wall. So the trick to that is, and you guys see me doing 100 times, take some fuel injector cleaner, take all the plugs out. This is a low compression situation because the top ones will be stuck also if it has a bunch of crap in there. You pour the fuel injector cleaner down there, about a 5-hour energy bottle worth in each cylinder, and you're supposed to let it sit overnight. Come out the next morning, you crank the engine over with the plugs out just to get the injector cleaner out the exhaust, and at that point in time you put the plugs back in. The phone just goes off nonstop. You put the plugs back in and you start it up, and that softens all that oil goo or head gasket goo in those rings. You take it out and run it, and all of it burns out in theory. And depends on how bad your situation is, you might have to do that once or twice to get it cleared up. Most cars that come in here with a bad head gasket that have been sitting, or a bad CCV, will smoke like a freight train, or they'll have no compression. The most common is have no compression, and even those upper rings will be stuck in from all the goo in it. And usually that'll fix it. I know a lot of guys hate when I make those videos of doing that, and you know, you can hate all you want, and you might work at a shop that benefits big time. Set you guys back up from a little stand I made. You might work at a shop that benefits big time from swapping engines and rebuilding engines, and that's not my problem. I mean, that's the fix for it, not to rebuild the engine for that. So we'll go and pull the bearing caps off, see if I can find a break in there. I mean, something is broken, obviously. There's big giant chunks of aluminum everywhere. I just don't see it yet. So we'll be right back. All right, so you know, I don't know. So we took the mains out, the front two mains. That one doesn't look that bad. I mean, it doesn't look good. It's got a big scratch in the middle of it. But this one, eesh, look at that. It's a good one, isn't it? That probably wasn't knocking yet, but probably didn't have a whole lot more time, and that was gonna be knocking big time. And then here's the cap off of that. I would say that was knocking. Look at the, let me wipe it off here. Look at the deformities on that. That was definitely knocking, no doubt. You can see. But as far as the number 2 piston, it's all black, right? Look at the heat that baby took. And on the bottom of it is black. But then the bottom part of this guy don't look, well, it's pretty worn right there. Yep, right there. So I still don't see anything at all, and we're not going to use any of this. It don't matter if I mix it up, right? We might say some of these bolts, that'd be about it, just to have on the shelf in case I need it for something else. I'm not seeing anything broken though. I'm just not. Okay, so It's trying to get this place cleaned up. My God, talk about a circus. We chucked the engine outside for right now. I didn't see anything wrong with it. I'm not sure what the hell's going on there. There was some funny looking stuff behind the timing gear. Chucked it right there. Next time I have the tractor over here, I'll put it with the other one behind the storage shed. That's not really too big a deal. We got the place sweeped out. I'm gonna have to get a new mat too. I pulled that out. It's all got gravy on it, and it's got too many holes in it. It's leaking through on the floor. So I never did put a coating on this floor. And the consensus was with the floor coating thing, there was no coating that wouldn't peel off with the floor jack rolling over it. So I didn't do anything. Might have to change that. I mean, this place is just stacked to the max. We'll probably wait to do that if we can hold out until we build to the front. That way we can take everything out of here and not have to put it outside while we're coating the floor. So we have the cylinder head over here. I need to go in the house. I have some plastic somewhere, and I'll go ahead and cover this up. The cylinder head is good with no issue, and that's it. So not really sure what's going on with that car. The way the bearings looked in it and the time certs came out when I took the head bolts out, it's probably a good thing we replaced it no matter what. At this point, I am going to replace it no matter what. We already have one ordered. The new engine should be here any time. I think he's almost got all the rest of the Insta-P downloaded. Got to split it in several different sections and download it. We're going to program this iDrive tonight. So while we're waiting on the engine to get here for the E39, this E60, I need to sort out these headlights. They're all unplugged right now because coating purposes, and I need to get on and figure out what's going on with that. Looks like there's something missing there. Need to sort that out. Other than that, the brake pad wear sensor, we need to bypass or replace those. Those are screaming on the dash to replace. And the new Phoebe expansion tank did not come with a new coolant level sensor. So before and after I replaced it, it was screaming for coolant level, so we replaced that. This thing's almost ready. So I guess stay tuned on E39 stuff. We'll have a video out. By the time you see this, I already have it out. Coating video, and we'll keep those speckled in. Those videos speckled in through all the rest of the content. A lot of stuff going on right now, so stay tuned. Thanks for watching, guys.